A very good morning to you all, and thank you for choosing 93.3 KFM this Saturday, the 4th of May 2024. This is VPN, that is Views, People and News, and I'm your host, Judith Atim. Well, today we are splitting our conversation in two parts. We're dedicating the first hour of the show to getting an update and further clarity on the forthcoming census exercise. As you're all aware, on Thursday, the 9th of May, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics shall commence the national census exercise. And here with me in the studio is Miss Rachel Namboze, who is a principal statistician at the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. She's also the representative of the Census Commissioner in charge of Kira Municipality in Wakiso District. Rachel, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Nice to be here.
I understand it's a beehive of activity there at UBOS.
Yes, it is. Indeed it is, but we are getting there.
Okay, that's good. Let's just go to the recent exercise that you had at UBOS of listing households. Could you just tell us how that went? What was your experience?
Thank you. Good morning, listeners. As already introduced, I'm happy to be here. And yes, I'll start with that. Prior to any census, of course, the process is calculated and very eventful one. We undertake a listing majorly to inform the planning of the actual census, and it is a listing that involves actually getting the reference of the households where they are and delineation of the areas that will be allocated for the enumerators in a manageable way. So listing across the country was successfully done, and we got results that were more informative. However, we also got a picture of what exactly is likely to happen when we undertake the census. For instance, in view of the last census, that is in 2014, the population had now bloomed, and the expectations were much more different. And yes, we have a lot of areas that are in need and thirsty for us to come. And so it gave us an idea of what we have to do. Putting it in simple words, we are going to hit the ground running. Yes, because it is a big population out there, and we need to count everybody. Okay. Yes. I mean, sometimes I move around some neighborhoods and I actually see the crowding. I see issues of access, for example. How can people even move to get to certain households? But that's a conversation for another time. Well, if you're out there listening, you should be aware that we're just 4-5 days away from that exercise, and it's very important that you should be counted. I am coming to Rachel about the importance of this exercise. So, Rachel, let's go back to what a population census is, and why should I bother, for example? Why should it be something that is important to me and to the listener out there? Yeah, thank you, Judith. A population census is a process of counting all persons inhabiting a country within the boundaries of that country at a particular point in time. The count captures both the numbers and the characteristics of the persons. And of recent, population censuses are also used for capturing housing conditions of the people. Hence, the naming of National Population and Housing Census. Yeah. Okay. So, when let's get a good understanding of why May 9th is important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who have already picked on the jargons of the census, you must have heard of what we are calling the census night.
Mm-hmm.
Census night.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you have heard about it. You may have not yet heard about it, but the census night is our reference point. Now, what is the census night? The census night is the night that enables us to get information about everybody living within the household that spent the night of 9th in that home. So particulars will be taken according to especially where the person spent the night.
Mm-hmm.
If the person spent the night in the hospital, it will be captured. If the person spent the night in a prison cell, it will be captured. If a person is in prison,
mm-hmm.
not just in a cell, it will be captured. And so it is important that once you get that, we are getting the count of the night of like a night population, let's say.
So let's say at the stroke of midnight, I'm on a plane and we're taking off, we're taxiing. I miss being counted.
No, we are not going to miss you. We will make an effort to have our enumerators at the airport to capture you, and we refer to you as a floating population. So we have different populations. We have the floating population. We have the population in institutions like the prisons,
hospitals,
yes,
and so on.
And so we also have the household population. And this is only to enable us become complete. Yes. So once we put the dots together, who was at home, who was at the airport, who was on a bus going to Arua and got there in the morning without sleeping at home, then we will have everybody.
Lodges, people who are spending nights in lodges, how are you capturing the data?
Okay, so that is our institutional population as well. Yes, it is in accommodation facilities, and everybody who will be in the lodge over that night will
be counted.
Give us their details. It is not a simple affair, but the plan is to have, of course, we are not going to send our enumerators to the lodge. However, UBOS has planned to have a questionnaire out at the reception. And then that questionnaire will be placed in each room. A page will be placed in each room for the habitants of whatever room is occupied. The questions are simple. Just
no names.
No. We will, in preference, you may not be interested in giving us your names.
But at least your gender,
yes.
An age, perhaps.
Yes. Nationality, non-Uganda, no Ugandan. And probably your religion and your ethnicity.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think there'd be a lot of trouble with names, and I would actually see a lot of errors or rooms for deception if you're going to ask people their names. But that aside, so that brings us to another interesting issue, the issue of capturing the data of foreigners. So, because sometimes people think, the census is strictly for Ugandans. Just shed more light on that.
Thank you. Yes, the census is for both nationals and non-nationals. It is a complete count of all the inhabitants, regardless of your nationality. So we are picking information on the inhabitants of Uganda who are non-nationals because they engage in the service utilization. They engage in generation of revenue. And so because the census is going to inform all this, we need to pick their information. Secondly, the census gives us an opportunity to capture that information that is hard to obtain on a regular survey basis. This is the opportunity that we have to pick up all the information that is likely to be utilized going forward. Someone was wondering why you said you're picking information concerning those that will be in the country on the 9th. Why then do you have questions concerning my children who have gone away 5 years ago? Yes, immigrants. We take the opportunity of the census because so much data. Census information informs a lot. It provides frames for censuses. It provides other indicator data that is useful for planning. So we will not only stop at asking about the people who stayed on the night of 9th, but we'll also inquire about the people who left the country. And we will also inquire about those outside, those ones who send remittances into the country.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. So, if a baby is, if say there's a pregnant woman carrying a baby and at the stroke of midnight she's going into labor, she delivers the next day, how do you capture the data of such a person? If, God forbid, someone has a patient and they're still living at the stroke of midnight, 9th May, and by, say, midnight or morning of 10th, they're gone. How do you deal with these kinds of scenarios?
Yeah, I like this. These questions are actually the gist of the census. It goes back to our night, the 9th of May. Now, we are saying we spend the whole day up to night.
9th midnight.
Yes, midnight. And we are waiting for ourselves to reach call it what you want. So, pick the illustration, the easiest illustration that we have been giving during the training is take imagine that God himself has taken a picture.
The screenshots.
Yes, of Uganda. At that point, we are saying that whomever is included in that picture will be counted. That's what we want. That's our target. So the baby who is born hours after, even minutes after, will not be counted because they are not in our picture.
And
however,
yes, please.
As you know, that every hour we are losing people to so many problems. So that individual who will have been in our picture at midnight and passes away
a few
at
hours
3
later,
a.m. will be counted as an individual in the household. Yes. So the logic is surrounding the census night. And that is the only way that can help us join the dots of where was A, B, C in the country, so that we do not miss you, or so that we ensure completeness.
So the children who won't be counted will be counted 10 years later. Okay,
that's great.
That's enough for now. So, a lot of times I've been seeing these questions on X, Twitter, formerly. Daily Monitor had this front page yesterday about the number of questions that we're going to have to answer. Just tell me what the questionnaire is like and how long you think, what your estimate is. How long do I have to sit down with an enumerator to actually answer the questions?
Well, our questionnaire, given the background of what I've told you, what we are interested in, and all the opportunities we want to exploit in this census, the questionnaire, the length of the interview varies from
household
to home,
okay.
And especially also from interviewer to interviewer, because we all are different. Some of us are quick to understand how the interview is going, and most of the time the respondent gives you more information to the next questions before you even ask them. So if you're prompt, you will move faster. That not said, on average, the questions will take about 45 minutes in an average home of about 4 people, 2 adults and 2 children.
Okay.
But these questions are demarcated into questions concerning the members of the household, getting member characteristics, their education, if they have disabilities, their age, their working statuses, and so on and so forth. Then we have questions regarding the actual household, because we are determining where are the people, where do they live, how do they live, how do they earn or make a living. So you're going to establish how do they live. You'll capture household, the actual household information. Then we shall also capture more information about the female population that is in the reproductive age. So if you find a home that has a good number of females, 3 females, that is more time for the interview, because we are establishing certain facts to determine fertility rates, maternal mortality, and so on and so forth. Then we will also capture information, as I've said, on utilization of services, government services. Are you part of communities that are into groups that are receiving support from government according to the existing government programs? Youth livelihood, PDM, all of those. And so depending on how actively engaged the household is, that will determine the length of the interview. So the interview can go up to 1 hour in one single household.
So if we are 3 say ladies in my household, does it mean all 3 of us have to sit down with this one enumerator, or the head? My assumption is there's a head of the household who speaks on behalf of the others.
Yes, the head of the household is expected to give us the information about all the other members in the household, regardless, man or woman. Of course, with a few consultations, as you may know, that sometimes our friends, those men, do not have all the information about about all the members in the household. In case the head of the household is not available, an equally knowledgeable person in the household will provide information about himself and also the others, with a few consultations here and there, because under normal circumstances it is not possible that you know everything that is going about the individuals in the home. But we consider the most knowledgeable person, and we believe that even if you left home and left a knowledgeable person with the details of those people who spent the night of 9th at home, they will surely give us the information that we desire. Yes.
Okay. So we're having this exercise for 10 days.
Yes.
Do I have to stay home for all those 10 days?
This one has been the cry where I come from. So many people are wondering. At first, the thought was we are counting on 10th and then people will go home. Now, that mainly could have been because the knowledge of having a public holiday came into play.
Yes.
So people were thinking, well,
it's just one day.
Now, it is not one day. We are counting for 10 days. But we are not expecting you to stay at home for the 10 days. As I said, you just need to know the census is around the corner. The interest day is 9th. Provide us with information of all your members of the household who spent the night of 9th, and then you'll be free to move to wherever you want, because we shall still obtain your information when we find a knowledgeable person at home. So we may come to your home on the 6th day, on the 8th day, or even on the 10th day. But still, we will still have that information. So you don't have to
stay home for all the 10 days,
you
provided there is someone who
will
you can delegate to provide them.
Please.
There's an interesting question, sorry, Rachel. But you're calling it a census night. Does it mean we should expect some enumerators at night? People say they're afraid some people may disguise as such, and people end up being robbed.
Yeah. Now, those are the fears. However, 9th or census night is not like enumerating homes. Okay? It's our reference night. It is our reference night. We are asking on the night of 9th, who spent the night in your home? Not that we are coming at night, but we are gathering that night population of 9th. Now, there are some particular scenarios where we shall gather information on the 9th night. As I've said, your friend is traveling, leaving the country.
Yes.
We want their information. We have to be at the airport at night to capture their information because we don't want to miss them. We have said the population in transit,
people boarding buses, going up
to
country
go to Arua
or wherever.
I don't know why I keep giving that as an example. Maybe that is the longest journey I've traveled.
Yes.
But that's all likely to be, not likely, that is supposed to be done
at night,
on
the
night
9th.
of the 9th.
Okay.
The homeless and the street children, you want to capture them as quickly as possible. So you will find them at night and count them. Because if, let's say, that night population now moves away, what we are trying to see is, are we putting the dots to ensure that we are not missing anybody? So you are in the bar or at the lodge. If you're in the bar and you leave to go home, that's well and good. But you know, there are those people
who are going to
stay in bars until
6 a.m.
morning. Yes, they go home at 6. We need to count them, because when they go home, now they'll bring another mixture. Okay? Why? They did spend the night. And when the enumerator visits the home and they ask about the details of those who spent at night, who spent the 9th at home, they are not there. They are not among that list. So we need to get them where they are. The exemptions of where you are for the 9th are: 1, you're here. We know your regular work is to come here, and you have a show probably between 11 and 1 a.m. or 10 and 1 a.m. That's an exception. So we shall record you at home. Okay. We won't say, oh, she was at the radio station, let us go to the radio station. No. We shall wait for you at home, and so our enumerator will ask, are you sure these are the only people who spent the night? And there are some who might have gone to work, the security guard who might have gone to work.
Doctors, medical workers on night shift.
Exactly. Yeah. And all that population that you're thinking about, that they were just outside for the inconvenience. For instance, you have a patient in the hospital and you have gone to spend the night with the patient. You will be counted at home, because the records when we go to the hospital do not have you. They have only the patient. We are community based. In Uganda, we are community based. When someone loses someone, you go and spend a night at their home for a vigil. It doesn't mean that you don't have a home. So, yes, that night you are at the vigil, but indeed, you could have been at home. So, those are the exceptions of the night. Okay. So, the whole thing goes around that night, but it's not that we are counting in the night.
Okay, so guys, no one is coming to count you on the 9th at night, on the 9th of May, so you can be rest assured of your safety and no inconveniences. But it's important that you give the right information anytime the enumerators visit you between 10th and the 19th. It is time for us to take a break. Rachel will return and definitely we'll have continue with more of this conversation. This is
933 KFM.
The K-Zone.
I refused to defect me. When I finished senior form, I started to go and work. That's why I met the man whom I have.
Whatever affects you, we talk about it.
I told my husband. My husband gave me money. I built for him. After seeing that one, he said, hey, the man has money. First time can ask you 1 million. After sending, he wants another money. But I'm even my husband is tired.
933. The K-Zone.
My brothers can call me. They want money. My dad can call from Moi. When you refuse, he can call even others. They call that they want to talk to me. Immediately after talking with him, he planned and he asked expensive things only. He's tired,
Bambi, he's tired.
Tired, everything.
The K-Zone. Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. to midnight. Only on 933 KFM.
In a world where every moment counts, Techno brings you the dawn of a new era in photography and imagination with the Common 30 series. Unlock your creativity, explore new horizons, and express yourself like never before. Techno Common 30 series is built with a 50 megapixel AF selfie camera, 512 GB storage, 5000 milliamps long-lasting battery with free 9 GB MTN internet data for 3 months. It's available now at all Techno stores on Jumia and MTN service centers.
Whereas the President's directive suspended penalties for non-compliance to IFRIS, the use of IFRIS has not been stopped. This directive specifically applies to persons in general trade, notably in Chikubo and similar business hubs across the country. URA will continue guiding taxpayers on the journey to onboard onto IFRIS. The business community is encouraged to continue using IFRIS and enjoy the benefits of stock management, sales management, return filing, and refund management.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
Guys, I have to go. I'll see you. Richard, I'm still telling you. Don't worry, we'll continue. Let's start our meeting tomorrow.
Okay, but I'm still telling you.
No, we'll meet tomorrow.
Yes, but I'm still telling you.
Richard, I'm still telling you.
Don't like cutting the KB? Dial *100*21# or use the My MTN app to get MTN Freedom Voice bundles that don't expire. Talk with freedom on MTN. Together, we're unstoppable. MTN Uganda is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
933 KFM.
The KFM VPN. Join the conversation. #KFM VPN. Post your comments on KFM Facebook. And we are streaming live on kfm.co.ug.
Welcome back from the break. This is still VPN here at 93.3 KFM. My name is Judith Atim, and we're discussing the National Housing and Population Census for 2024. I have with me here in the studio Ms. Rachel Namboza, who is the principal statistician at the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. She's also the representative of the Census Commissioner in charge of Kira Municipality in Wakiso District. Now, Rachel, before we went into the break, you were talking about the night populations that are spread out in places like lodges, bars, and these kinds of places, and also capturing data of street kids. And what went off my mind is, it's nighttime, people are drunk, some are angry, and you're sending in an enumerator there. How do you ensure the security? How do you ensure that your enumerators are protected? And let's leave Kampala alone and the urban areas. If you're farther off into the rural settings, people are laying their bricks somewhere near swamps. Others are working in mines, for example. These are all quite dangerous places. How are you protecting the enumerators?
That is actually one of the aspects that we looked into. Uganda Bureau of Statistics is not working as an independent body in this exercise. Uganda Bureau of Statistics is working with the Uganda Police Forces, We have 100% support from the Uganda Police Forces. Uganda Bureau of Statistics is working with the District Internal Security Officer, what you call DSOs at the higher local government levels. And we are getting a drive. Call it a drive, so that we move uniformly with the security to get to these places. I want you to think about places beyond Kampala, places up country there, where you are going to move to places where, as you've mentioned, bricklayers and all, down in the mines. The enumerators can't go alone.
Yeah.
So the local government or the municipality is supposed to organize a drive to enumerate this population. The enumerators are guided and, provided with security to move, not singly, but, as a drive together. If there is a very important bus terminal in the district, then it is visited. Those special areas where there are low-lying street kids who may be dangerous, that place is visited.
Okay.
So these places will be identified prior, and arrangements are going to be made so that those places are
secure enough. All right. That's interesting. So now, what have you done to make it easier for us, the respondents, to actually respond to these questions when the enumerators come? Because when you go actually on social media, people are saying, no. There's an interesting comment someone made, like, when I was in school, I couldn't even answer 4 questions. How do you expect me to answer all these questions? How are you going to make it easier to actually accommodate people who don't want to sit and answer questions for a long time?
Yes, answer questions for 45 minutes. I mean,
this is not an exam.
That is true. That is true. But we are saying the questions go as applicable. Yes, in total, the questions, let's say the questions on personal or member information, are about 85, but they are all not to one person. Like, they may not be applicable to certain individuals.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand that.
I do. I still remember the 2013. I still remember some of the questions were asked.
So, yes, in total, those questions may be 84, but you don't have to answer all the 84 as an individual. You, Judy, you made your sections where you
what's
apply.
applicable to me.
Yes. But so that total of questions that people are talking about, they've summed up all the different sections and said, wow, I have to answer all this, which is not true.
Okay.
You will the head of household will respond on behalf of the rest of the members, but on sections where information is required for those people. So if a section is not applicable, that is skipped. And that is the beauty that we have with the digitized census.
So now, exactly, that's another interesting thing. This time we're moving away from the paper-based questionnaires to a digital format. I don't know if you're anticipating any challenges or bottlenecks along the way. For example, you're in a rural. Is it internet based in terms of? Because I know the data is relayed in real time. I capture the data from a particular household and I relay to UBOS.
Yes,
in real time. So what happens, for example, when I get like technical glitches? In some rural part of the country, for example, enumerating, and the system just fails. What's the backup? So,
yes, as you have well put it, the first fear is what happens if the system fails. The system is a little bit advanced, but very simple.
Okay.
And its simplicity goes as far as being able to work offline. Most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will only need that system when you are uploading the interview.
That's when you need the internet.
That's when you need the internet in the morning. You update the system with with the interview, the copy, because copy is the computer assisted personalized interview. So you have to pull in the interview.
All right.
So once you have the interview, you may be offline and carry on with your interviewing. And
so there are no cases of lost data, for example, like.
So when you are done with the household, you are encouraged to send the information as you move to the next. If you're in a place that is disfortunate with internet, you have, as an enumerator, you have a supervisor. Each supervisor has been given an average of about 8 persons who can reach them if they have glitches.
Okay.
So you can quickly share that data with your supervisor, who has time to move around to the spots where internet is. Then, if you are unable to get your supervisor, because remember he's working with about those 8, you will send the data when you get to the point where there is internet later on in the day. And this data is secure. And when they send it, even if it is partial, because the scenario is, Judith, we are in your house and then suddenly there is an emergency and you have to go.
Yeah.
We surely cannot hold you there. We will save what we have got, make an appointment for another time, and partially save your data. And we are encouraged to send it still. We will still pick it up when we visit you and complete the interview. So we are encouraging the enumerators to try as much as possible to forward the work either to the supervisor on Bluetooth, because that one is not internet based. You can share with your supervisor on Bluetooth, or in the event that you are moving to the next household and you do not have a way, save your data and move on. When you get a spot, quickly send the data. On that point, I also want to add that we are not, because when you're thinking, internet based, wow, MBs, no. We have very good collaboration with the media houses, and they have given us an ability to work as if we are working. So when we are working on the application from the UBOS servers, we are working MB free. Great. So every time, it's not that, the interviewer doesn't have MBs or that kind of thing. The moment they just sense that there's some connectivity, they can freely forward the interview. Yes, even midway, just so that they are sure that it is coming. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So now the issue of data privacy and protection. Again, I'm getting a message here about the people in lodges. How are we going to ensure their data is protected? People might actually fear to divulge certain information about themselves because they fear to be maybe ridiculed or labeled a certain way. But generally also, if for example, I'm declaring my income, this is how much this household makes, this is how we make a living, and people are concerned, URA. I mean, with all these problems we've been seeing with EFRIS lately, there are definitely these concerns. Are you sharing my data? Who are you sharing my data with? How do you allay fears, genuine fears actually, about protection and protection, ensuring data protection and privacy of the respondents?
So, UBOS was enacted by an Act of Parliament in 1998, and this one provides for confidentiality on all data that is collected from the populace, regardless of whether it is a census or a survey. Now, this confidentiality issue extends to the point that we, as UBOS, do not share information individually. We do not share any individual information for any purpose. And actually the data we collect is only utilized for statistical purposes. That notwithstanding, the enumerator, after training, upon completion of the training, will swear an oath of secrecy to observe the confidentiality clause of the Act, so that they understand that it is a matter of law if they reveal the information that they've collected. But most of the time, the fear is not with the enumerator. The fear is with UBOS. UBOS will show our data to XYZ. That's not going to happen, and it never happens, even for our surveys. We are protected by this act not to divulge any information. We anonymize our information. You were talking about names, and I was very clear and said, names, you may give us your names, you may not give us. What we would like to do is to have the complete count. Do not hide to the extent that you can't even tell us your age and what, so that we count you. At least let's enumerate you. And on that one, in the lodges, as I indicated, that's a special population and it has a special questionnaire. The questions are not as many as the ones that we find in the household questionnaire. They are just to help us enumerate that, you see, our hotel population. You want to hear when we release the results that our hotel population on the night was X. So what do we need? Just your age, sex, religion,
ethnicity, nationality. Okay.
You know, very simple.
Now that's interesting. So the other thing is, is it a must that I have to give my information? I know you need this information, but if I don't want to share any information, is that a crime? Is that an offense? What happens?
Now, although the law makes it a crime for you not to respond, UBOS doesn't move so fast to hold it against you, because there is actually a fine for you not to if you don't respond, because it's a law that you should give UBOS your information. Now, what UBOS emphasizes is that we further explain to you the importance of the information that you're going to give us, because we think that when we resonate with you, you will have a change of heart. So rather than overly enforce,
it's okay.
So rather than overly enforce, we ensure that you understand why you are providing this information and also the implications of not providing the information. We actually have had such scenarios, even in the previous census, where whole communities were not accepting to be enumerated because of beliefs and practices. Well, we had to sit down with them. The district leadership had to go and engage them. And this was serious. There is a belief out there, it was in the district of Kamwenge, who do not believe in counting them.
People who are alive,
So they need then struck to sensitize them and make them see the importance of counting them. And right now,
could it be what has informed your decision this time around to engage cultural leaders and religious leaders to actually get...
Yes, and that is to have everybody embrace, because everybody has their unit of trust. It is possible that you only trust your employer here, but there is another person who only believes in what the bishop has said, and another who only believes in what the Kabaka has said. So we need all those points so that people embrace the exercise and give us the rightful information that will lead us to the outcomes that we are intending to have.
Okay. So, good morning, Honorable Stephen Wichitali just joined us. He's very passionate about this census issue. Just say hello and then we take a break and then we come back.
Good morning, KFM. Nice being here. I've been listening to the UBOS Census, I think in charge of Kira.
Yes.
We wish the whole process of census to be very useful, more so after hearing that you're emphasizing the housing aspect.
Yes, please.
And they would want to know if by the end of this exercise, we shall not be saying Ngenda Kafene.
It's okay.
That you have a GIS, Geographical Information System.
We are coming back.
VPN. Views, people,
Sorry, Rick.
news. VPN. Only on 933 KFM. VPN. Views, people, and news. Only on 933 KFM.
That's right. Welcome back. This is still VPN here on 93.3 KFM. I'm Judith Atim, your host. We are still continuing with our discussion on the National Housing and Population Census, which is just a few days away. Thursday, 9th of May will be the reference night, and then the counting starts 10th to the 19th, and you're urged to actually be home, share your information. Apparently, it's actually criminal. I didn't know that. I didn't know that aspect, that it's actually a criminal matter for one not to actually share information or to avoid being enumerated. That's a very interesting thing. What's the penalty?
There's a fine. It has been revised. You know, the old laws had very small fines. Now, I don't know if the fine is still small, but I know that there's a fine that you'll have to, because you're charged, and if you don't have the fine, you're locked up.
Oh, guys, that's an incentive for you to actually be counted. Now, the other thing again about where my data goes, who do you share it with? Are you sharing it with immigration, customs enforcement, revenue services, courts, blah, blah, blah? I think you answered that. Then people were also asking, again, the issue of, are you going to pay me an allowance to actually be enumerated? I mean, the questions are too long. I cannot just say, you must give me something, or at least give me a drink, and so on. How do you respond to this?
Your participation is required by law. But we don't want to be as rigorous. It's important that people understand why we are collecting the information and why they should provide it in its true rightfulness. So there is no mandatory benefit. Our benefit, what we are selling, is intangible. We are saying, when you give us the information, we shall pass it on to the policymakers, to the service providers, so that they plan better. Now, you're not going to be enumerated because you have done XYZ that's special. You're entitled to be enumerated regardless. That's why we are struggling to get the homeless, to get the madmen on the road, to get everybody to be enumerated. It's a constitutional obligation of every person who will be in the boundaries of Uganda to be counted.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about enumerators. So you have more than 100,000 enumerators that you're going to deploy, and they're actually being trained right now.
Yes.
So how are you deploying them? For example, if I have enumerators undergoing training from around my area, are they going to still be the same people deployed in my area, or you'll take them elsewhere?
Yes, actually, that's the very reason why this whole process is decentralized. You know that when we are conducting our surveys, we get a group, train it, and then dispatch it. However, for the census, for the matter of ownership and engagement of the local governments, we are getting, and of course the size of the exercise, we are getting enumerators from the areas where they reside. That's where they will enumerate.
Okay.
Yes. It builds trust. You're okay if you know so-and-so's son is the one asking the information. Okay? You're more comfortable. I always want to take away that picture from us here who are living in flats, and where your neighbor may not know what is happening. But our friends out there, up country, feel more secure if their own is engaging them, and so they'll be more truthful, because trust is always earned.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. I think you've answered most of the questions that people. The results. When do we expect to get the results of the census this time around?
The results of the census come in sequences or series. They don't all just come one. Well, so what happens are that we get provisional results.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, given that we are going digital, getting the data real time, we are not going to delay. We expect that the provisional results will come in about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
After the enumeration has fully been synthesized and everything has been put together, the final results will come out after 6 months.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And this is only because we have been enabled to have a digital census. Usually it takes a little bit longer because after capturing, after writing on the questionnaires, we would then capture the data into the system. But now it's being directly
fed into the system.
Yes, so that's why we think that.
All right, so we should expect the results sometime around towards the end of the year. That's interesting. Now let's move
to use the national ID.
We actually have a caller on the line. Hello.
Yes, it is.
Good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to find out. My name is Joshua.
Yes, Joshua.
Is it mandatory to give the people the numerator as the national ID, or it's regardless of the national ID? Because it's very crucial, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you. Rachel, I think you could respond to that immediately.
Yes, please. The information that we are inquiring about is whether you have a national ID.
Okay.
We are not taking away the ID. So we are not even taking the national ID number. We need to understand if you have a national ID. Of course, it's very good evidence if the national IDs are there at home and you've left them. But we are just establishing if you have. We want to understand, are people compliant?
Do you want to see a copy of it, or I can just say yes or no?
The answer is yes or no, but evidence, as I've said,
all right,
we are evidence-based.
All right.
Would be very good.
Okay.
And leave a copy at home because it will provide us with date of birth and all that, you know. So you're leaving someone, they can't cram all the other people's dates of birth and what.
Yeah.
But if you feel
uncomfortable.
Yes.
But does it have to be national ID only, or passport, driving permit?
National ID. You know that we have a service provider and we need to understand how people are utilizing that service provider.
Well, Joshua, I hope your question is answered. You just need to show that you have, or if you don't have, you just say you don't have. That's what they need. Now, we are moving to the issue of planning. How this data is actually used for planning. Does it actually translate to good service delivery for citizens as we know? But let's pause that from your side, Rachel. Let me hear from Honorable Muchitale. As an opinion leader, Honorable from Bunyoro, what is your concern as we actually draw closer to the Census Day?
First of all, I want to congratulate the country for having yet another census after 10 years and appeal to citizens, please to cooperate to support the success of this very important information gathering, which informs planning, so that we can do planning with evidence-based information. However, my first concern is in line with what Joshua has just raised. The last census of 2014 was when we were struggling to put in place the national ID was still a new thing. I thought that as we go digital, it would be very important to pick the NIN numbers, because ideally, if the country, if we are to help the other side of the NIRA to develop what we call a national register, it would be a living document whereby we know who has died, who has been born, so that we update. That even before you get another census, you can actually with certainty know the population increase, you can know what is happening. And then also, this could also later be picked by other agencies, as you've rightly put. How do we translate this census information? So that even if you are here tomorrow, knows in this household who are the taxpayers, you would pick.
Honorable, sorry, I'm told we have a caller on the line. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Okay, this is Lydia.
Yes, Lydia.
Now, on the issue of the national ID, if you're not picking the NIN numbers and you just want to know if somebody has an ID, how do you pick the children who now also have been registered and have NIN numbers?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Lydia is asking about the children who've registered.
It has gone up to schools.
Yeah, but they don't have NINs yet. Their national identification numbers are not there. How do you capture that?
Yeah, that is actually the very reason that we are not picking the NIN number, because then it will become a mandatory question and then it won't move for those who don't have. But anyway, to bring it down clearly, we, as Uganda Bureau of such Statistics, in exercising our mandate, we do not want to go into another person's mandate. Once you start capturing the NIN, you're entering into NIRA's mandate. And now instead of trying to achieve yours, you're trying to break down into the other one. However, you're supposed to provide information that so many are utilizing and so many are not, and please check that. That's the same thing that you're picking for URA. You're just telling URA, so many are employed, so many are not employed, so many are, you could be your tax base, but not who is. Do you understand what I'm saying? You cannot, the Confidentiality Act cannot allow you to tell URA that Namboze is ready for taxes. But you can generalize and aggregate and tell URA, by the way, look in these places, you may have an alternative for your tax base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Now,
that is necessarily what we are picking it for. So for these children, we are very aware that the authority has gone a great length to see that everybody has, and we applaud them. And so we will tell them. This question is at the point of member information. You remember I told you the questionnaire is categorized. There is member information. So for each member in the household, we will establish about their national ID. But it still also has a age cutoff. Those that are under 10,
we don't need.
Yes.
Okay, fine. But should they be registered? Birth certificates or something like that?
Yes, so for those ones, we pick information about whether they have
a birth certificate.
Yes, a birth certificate.
And do you need proof of that as well?
That is also
the evidence I should be able to. Okay.
You provide, you show the birth certificates for the children, and then we are good to go. Right. Long birth certificate, short.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Yes. Or even a birth notification form, would that work? Or it has to be a birth certificate?
It has to be a birth certificate, either long or short.
Okay, then. Honorable, let's come back to you. Sorry we cut you short. There was a call on the
Yeah, I'm happy. Actually, both callers are in line with the first point I was advancing. It's my prayer that UBOS, my good friend, the UBOS, I don't know whether in the next census, of course, he will not be there, Mkiza, but I would pray that we take it as an important point that in future the government agencies, UBOS and others should corroborate. It is very important to pick this information because the national ID is very important tool to help us develop a national register so that even at a sub-county level you can know who was born and they can also know who is dead. The other area also which is very important is now that you've digitized and it's a housing population census and housing. We have a problem, we even saw it during COVID, that when we wanted to feed the poor, we didn't know where to find them. So it would be very important that this exercise also informs the geographical information system so that we stop saying Mvira Mkumalalo, Kukafene, Muafu, that you're counting the references you're picking from this housing would be helped. I think KCC was trying to do that project. I don't know how far they have gone. In Uganda, up to now, people are living in premises which are not numbered. It would be very important that when you have such a program, a national program, it feeds into other programs so that again the next census you're going to say we are again going to look to know which housings. Ideally, it should be incremental. The urban authorities would also, the whole country is a planning area. Unfortunately, 14 years after the law, we are not a planning area. So it's important that this information is also picked so that you know in that household how you can even see you can actually pick the information of the poor. You can pick who are the employed. URA, actually, that becomes very important input for URA to know people's TIN numbers, who can pay taxes. So that the few workers, the very few people who keep paying taxes, the ones working at KFM Monitor, because they know you have a TIN number, you are the one paying, pay as you earn, everything, you are always the ones who are targeted. So to broaden tax base, we also need to take advantage of this information. The other debate is that the country, Uganda is one of the biggest host of alien refugees in Africa. I think that for me, a person who comes from the border area and has moved all these borders of the country, I think of the about 50 million you are about to confirm, 10 million are alien. But they will tell you from Prime Minister's office, we have 2.3 refugees. Actually, we have areas where we know these are Congolese, we know these are Somalis, we know these are, but they are not in these records of PM because our law is not as strict as our neighbors, where you have to register every non-citizen. So you would also help us to give us that information. Yes, I also people have been having worry that I think there was too much emphasis of that nines that day.
Census night.
Yeah, it's good you've explained it because people are trying to ask.
That night has worried people.
That night, the way it was being emphasized, I think it was overblown. It's good you've explained it, and that you don't have to be at home for all the days. Provide information. I wish you had in the earlier time, as you enumerators are being trained, also sent a samples. I know you're going digital, you're avoiding paperwork, but would have been very important for the head of the families at this point working with the LOC system. They should already be knowing what information is required per household. That would make the exercise much more simpler and friendly.
Okay, thank you. I really, really agree. Most of the terms that you've talked about, that is the approach that we've taken. I thank you so much that you're moving at pace with us. On the refugees, probably I can add, we are capturing information on all the people who will be in Uganda. So most definitely, the refugees have been taken care of. We are considering them as special populations. People are going to enumerate them. And the questions that will be asked here in our usual households will be asked there. Their nationality, their age, and we are not making them uncomfortable, but just trying to ensure that we have them. So if they're in settlements, they are going to be enumerated, not with so many questions, but with those questions that are very imperative for us to plan and aid planning for them. Now, on the issue of working together with the MDAs, other MDAs, UBOS is committed to that. Even aside the census, that's what we do. Our indicative figures provide information to Ministry of Finance for emoluments that go to higher local governments. We provide inflation figures that go to Bank of Uganda. We provide information that goes to NPA to inform the progress of the NDP. We provide information on the progress of SDG. So for the various development programs, we have made an effort. Our steps may seem baby steps, but we are moving and we are proud of ourselves. When I entered here, the challenge that you had, the biggest challenge was like, but okay, when you count, will this data be utilized?
Yes.
Yes, the data will be utilized. We have seen survey data being utilized. So I'm telling you, development partners, the international community, the diplomatic missions and all, they are all interested in
researchers
this data.
as well.
Yes,
Academia,
universities
that,
and
yes.
everybody is waiting for this data. So for us, we are very, very sure that that data will be utilized.
Okay. I'm going to read our studio lines, and please do give us a call, be part of the conversation, send us your comments, your thoughts, or your questions, or your fears and concerns. We'll allay them. Rachel is here to answer all your questions. Our studio lines are 0393 933 933, 0393 262 933, 0393 262 934, 0393 266 933, 0701 933 934. You can also reach us on 0751 933 900. We are discussing the upcoming National Housing and Population Census that is to be conducted by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. And I have with me Ms. Rachel Namboza, who is the principal statistician at UBOS. She's also the representative of the Census Commissioner in charge of Kera Municipality in Wakiso District. Also with me in the studio is Honorable Stephen Muchitale, politician, opinion leader from Bunyoro. He was in Parliament. Which year again, Honorable?
15 years, yes, 2006 to 2020.
Yes, but he's a regular guest on the VPN show and on other shows here on KFM. So, Rachel, you've explained well about how the census results feed into the planning, but and I understand you cannot actually force other agencies or entities on how to utilize these results and plan. But I do think from Stephen's issue and also from where I stand, it's really important that we see probably more commitment or more aggression, I don't know, on your side or on the side of the other MDAs. My concern, especially when it comes to the issue of housing, we've had a number of discussions on this show regarding the state of planning, especially generally, if they call it Estate Uganda, like the Ministry of Lands calls it. Recently, the ministry launched the National Physical Development Plan on what should be where, how should our structures be, how should our housing be. And I know when you collect this data, you're just going to present and say, okay, this is a state of housing. But what recommendations do you give at the end?
For a long while, actually, with our the concluded strategic plan of UBOS, we were just giving the status of the situation. Yes, you have so many learners, you have so many youth, you have so many women
children,
and yes,
and so on.
we would give that. Where the schools are, we would say. Where the hospitals are, we would give that status. Basically, we would just inform. However, with our new strategic plan, we go beyond just giving the status.
Okay. Sorry, I'm told we have a caller. Sorry. We have a caller on the line. Hello?
Yes, good morning once again. This is Lydia again.
Yes, Lydia, please, you're welcome once again.
Thank you. Now, I also want to request the UBOS team, while they are taking their data, when we are finally getting the final report, if it's possible to give us population figures right from the village level, from village, then go parish, then go district and wherever. Because we have suffered, we work with the ministry, and when we are trying to design systems, we are now required to report coverage per village, and when you don't have the population data, it becomes hard. We have been relying when they are supplying mosquito net, and these population figures that we get sometimes is not adequate. So we would really request that they give us this data at village level. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lydia.
So, as I was saying, in our current strategic plan, we re-acknowledge all the players in data production and their importance. We are saying we are in a partnership. You know that UBOS cannot collect or generate all the data necessary for planning and development in Uganda. So we are saying that other players, we call them we have a national statistical system And in that national statistical system, we have data producers, data providers, data consumers, and their partners. We want the community or the nation to go away from the thought that we are the sole producers. All the ministries and agencies that are engaged in service provision.
Sorry, Rachel. There is a lot of interest in the conversation, which is actually a good sign. Hello. Yes. Good morning. Hello. You're not very clear. Can you please step away from your stereo set?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
You're still cracking. Could you just reduce the volume on your receiver?
Okay. Can you hear?
A lot better now.
That's better.
Kind of. Hello?
Okay, my name is Shamim.
Yes, Shamim.
And I'm calling from Namgongo.
Yes, please.
Me, I have an issue of the IDPs, the internally displaced persons. I don't know how they are going to handle them because we have like kids on street and government in most cases, I don't think they've handled those kids quite well. So how are they going to carry out the census of that kind of people? We have IDPs all around the country. Yeah. So I would like her to talk about it and maybe, explain more about it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Shamim.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we have another caller? Okay. Well, earlier you had actually talked about how you're enumerating the street kids, but I think she probably wasn't tuning in yet.
And the homeless.
Yeah, and the homeless. Could you please explain that again?
In the census, we have different categories of the population. You have the household population. That is well understood, I guess. Now, we have what we call the institutional population, which has
prisons.
Yeah. The institutional population has prisons, hospitals, convents, name it. Now, in that institutional population, we also, we have two types of questionnaires. We have a long questionnaire where people dwell long in that institution, like in the convent.
It's a lifetime thing.
Yes, it's a lifetime. In the prison, you're on life sentence. But then also, we have a short questionnaire for the short institutional population, which includes quick, before you're put on remand, you're in the cell, we'll take you. You're in the bar, we'll take you. Accommodation, we'll take you. You get it? Now, the population that therefore looks like is missing out there is what we have called the floating population, which includes the homeless, and in the homeless we have the street kids, whom we are sure will not have a definite place, and the people in transit. Now, I want to allay her fears and tell her that the IDPs, our refugees, are one of the institutional populations. They are living in one place all together, as you can see, and their feeding, their housing is all influenced by one factor. So it's an institution that will be catered for. We have specially trained people to get their information, not so long questions like the way our household population will go through, but we will still pick their information.
Okay.
So don't feel worried about that.
Shamim, I hope that answers your question. Let's go back to Lydia. Lydia had actually raised an issue of population figures, wanting all this data from village level and so on to help them planning the health sector.
The National Statistical System has now gone we have sensitized our partners in statistical production to ensure that they support us as we produce the data. What are we saying? If you want information at the lower level, come to Uganda Bureau of Statistics. But if you also can generate that data as per your interest, because you know that these partners, I want to call them partners because we're already calling them partners, are specifically interested in particular things. They may be interested in the disabled, the orphaned, And if you're generating data because you're working with that community. We are saying we will improve your data production processes and guide you to produce better data so that we are in this partnership together. You bring the data you have, and we also share with you what we can offer. And data is not sold. Data is free in Uganda. And I think it will continue to be free. That is another debate.
Thank you, Rachel. Let me go to Honorable now.
I wanted to know if by the end of this census process, we can know how many citizens are using firewood.
Yes.
How many are using gas, so that this information becomes important at this point in time when we have biofuel challenges and environmental concerns. It is very important that comes. Is it possible to inform us of the housing deficit that we know, because we have been talking about
2.4, 2.3, the figures of
housing deficit, if that can come out. But also, now that we have just got holidays, we seem to be increasingly having too much dropout, both in primary and secondary. Can this census, could you have an instrument, a tool to give us by the end of this process, how many children have dropped out of school at the end of this census, so that we can know even the mode of transport?
Okay.
Uganda has one of the most expensive mode of transport and reckless called boda boda. We have parents have been running the last 1 week picking children. Would you inform us which mode of transport people are using by the end of this census?
Yes, Honorable, before you came in, thank you. Before you came in, I was talking about the categories of the questionnaire. Why you even hear this lady worried about the 180 questions of the questionnaire. The questionnaire is categorized. We have member information about who are you and where do you live and how do you work or earn a living.
Access to water.
So we ask those questions about the members, each one in the household. Then we have a section on household particulars. Where is your house? How is it? You get it? The way it was built and the access to the health facilities and how you cook and how you get water and electricity. What is your source?
How many dependents?
Yeah, so those are about 40 questions.
Looking after children?
That how many dependents comes in the member particulars. You get it? So the questionnaire has been categorized. 1, to get member information. 2, to get household characteristics. 3, to get information concerning other information like agriculture and related. Then it has immigrants. That's another section. So after
I hope they will declare. If I go to Kabalagala, Kansang,
that is actually
Eritreans,
for me that is my only concern, if you would ask me what the concern is. Otherwise, the questionnaire is comprehensive and it will fully provide us with information on where the Ugandans are, what are their demographic characteristics, what are their housing characteristics, how do they earn a living, what services are accessible to them and what are not, and what so far are they utilizing. The main thing that we are following with this census, unlike other censuses, is the utilization of government programs that have been put in these 10 years. What is the progress? It's not so much about what we've been doing before, but this one is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rachel, I think there's another question there most likely for you. Hello?
Yes, morning.
Good morning.
This is Alonzi Godwillie.
Yes, Alonzi, good. You're welcome. Please share your thoughts or questions.
I appreciate you both so much for the work they are doing.
Thank you.
Because I just passed from there. I received the messages. I don't know how it is possible. You receive a message of that information automatically. And so I wanted to know, how are they going to deal with the untouchables? I think you know what I'm meaning.
Untouchables, which ones?
The untouchables. There are some like some arrogant UPDF officers who will never be allowed to be accessed. Yes, please. Now, there are some people in the community, they are too arrogant, such that even sometimes they close their door, they shut their doors, you will never access them. How are they going to do that? Are they going to move with the police? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alonzi. That's actually very interesting. We talked about that earlier. And these are realities, by the way. Someone can slam the door in your face and say, I don't want to be counted after all. I don't see why it helps me. It doesn't even help me in any way. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we are telling our enumerators that we are presenting several scenarios. What if this happens? What if the other happens? And you're there. We are telling them, explain, first of all, what is the importance of the data that you're collecting. 2, do not move alone. UBOS has provided a guide for the enumerators, and that is the LC1 or a member of that committee to move with this person in the community and provide more affirmation that everything is well. Mm-hmm. But more so, as I said, we are supported by the police. We are supported by the Internal Security Office at every level. So those DSOs, PSOs, and what, they'll be moving with these enumerators, just in case. So the enumerator does not struggle with the respondent. Once they have really analyzed.
LOCs, police and ISOs may be a bit, but
yes, that is in
LOCs
case
number
where,
one.
You see, we have created several scenarios, Honorable. We have created several scenarios. This gentleman, the enumerator already, may be moving very peacefully, but so many people are watching and are strategizing on how they can destabilize this person. Out of spite or just out of normal robbery, I don't know. This person has a gadget, very expensive and all flashy. This person is moving and, so they might have to need that other kind of security that is just beyond the lay LC. But now I'm hearing that this one is a special case. These people don't want to disturb them. Of course, we've tried and sensitize that it is important. And I'm seeing the urgency. People now want it. They were feeling like they don't need it. But the way they ask now, you can tell they are interested. What we need is to quench their thirst and reach out to them to count them. The frustration will grow further if we don't. That's why we have recruited over 120,000 enumerators and we are training them so that they can reach. You are asking about how they reach the area. Each enumerator has been allocated an area within their locale that has a manageable number of households to count within the 10 days so that they complete. So that is the way the design goes. It's not just by you count here, you count there. No. When we look at the data that we've obtained from the listing, we then delineate out comfortable areas for each enumerator, and that's the determinant of the enumerator. Each enumerator then is allocated. So when you're thinking about it, I have 180 questions or less. And I have to ask from a household, how many minutes do I take? 45. How many hours are those? Like in a day, if an enumerator is fit and bold, they will work maybe 10 to 12 hours. So if I'm doing 12 hours and maybe I take 30, 40 minutes, that means I have about 20 homes. So in 10 days, I have 200 homes covered. So that's the determination of the area that we are giving to the enumerator. Okay. So that this one covers that part and they know their boundaries, going to the boundaries. How do we determine the boundaries? During the listing, we were capturing the GPS of the main structures within the locality and the households themselves. Even the enumerator will further confirm that GPS. So, yeah.
I was up country and had a lot of support from the SFM radios. There's a lot of sensitization.
Honorable, I think we have a caller. Hello? We've dropped?
Hello?
Yes, please. Hello.
Yes.
Good morning. May I know who is calling, please?
My name. I'm listening to the speech, but I think the question is not being answered. Because if somebody doesn't want to be counted, what do you do?
Okay. We're so sorry.
Sitting around and not giving us the...
Okay.
You leave the home, you
I'm told there's a pen. It's actually illegal for you to avoid being counted. But Rachel can explain that better. It is a crime and you can be penalized. Isn't that what you said earlier?
Yes, it is. I am saying, we won't pay you to count you because it's a constitutional obligation that you're counted.
Yeah.
However, if you refuse to be counted, it's a crime. So, rather than emphasize the crime element of it and give you the penalties, UBOS is trying to sensitize the populace so that they appreciate the enumerator when they come to enumerate them.
And take ownership of the process.
So, we would have just gone and said, if you refuse, we put you and take you to court and then they give you your fine or what. We don't want that. We would prefer that we emphasize the benefits of you giving us the information and then we move forward. But in case this has all refused, then the enumerator has been trained to engage the leadership as it continues. The enumerator has a parish supervisor, a sub-county supervisor. They'll all try and engage these people, and eventually if the people still refuse, then that's when that should come in.
Okay.
The crime issue.
All right.
I was saying that the last 3 weeks I went through up country, and in those districts the FM radios really have done very well in terms of sensitization. I actually also agree, would be rather have more persuasion, more sensitization than resorting to that rule of the criminality and forceful. I'm wondering, did you synergize with the MTNs and Airtel of this world? Because millions of Ugandans are on phone.
I actually received a message.
Yes. How can we, in the remaining days, increase on that sensitization and that, they are very good if you designed with them something, a tool which can...
Thank you, Honorable. Actually, currently that is the strategy, to reach out through whatever medium, because we are left with 4 or 5 days. Now, what we are doing is to engage you. You know, when you personalize something, it is more appreciated. We have a series of messages that are going out from UBOS, but also we are telling our enumerators that you have several social groups that you're on. Engage them. Send short messages like the one I was reading for you earlier. The census is around the corner. When you're leaving home, please leave your information so that that person as an enumerator has more information to explain to their colleague, rather than all of them seeming to be out there without information.
Any budget for religious leaders and cultural leaders to make announcements in the remaining few, because those are very powerful people. Yes,
and we have seen them getting on board. They have
voluntarily or by your engagement.
No. Management has reached out to them and seen them and asked their participation. But on a whole, the local government still holds a lot of power because of the design of our country. We are decentralized, so we also have empowered the local governments to see that they trickle down.
All these pastors,
imams, we have those ones. We engage them right from what questions we should have in the questionnaire. So we have a stakeholder committee that engaged them.
All right, thank you. Let's take a break and then we'll come back for another round of this. This is still VPN. We're discussing the National Housing and Population Census and why you should be a part of this. Remember, it's important for you to be counted, to help the government in planning and so many other areas. So please do share your data when the enumerators visit you, some starting next week, I think, Friday. VPN returns after the break.
933 KFM.
From the break, we're still here discussing the upcoming National Housing and Population Census. We have a caller on the line. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. May I please know who I'm talking to?
You're talking to Geoffrey.
Yes, Geoffrey. Thank you for calling. Please proceed.
Yes. Thank you for the good presentation. One thing I am realizing, we are being trained as enumerators, but I find it strange that people are not being open. They are not telling us the money they will pay us at the end of it. I see they are rushing into things. it was not well prepared. And once we are trained to enumerate, I don't know if we are not well motivated, if we are not well told what we are going to do at the beginning, whether we shall get the exact data that they need. Because most of us who applied for supervisorship, they changed us to enumerators. I don't know, some people may even opt to go away at the end of it all. So I see we are not very well prepared. What can she tell us about that?
Jeffrey, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Wakiso.
Okay, your area, Rachel.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
that's interesting, and I don't think I'm actually surprised that this is coming right now. We have another caller.
Is there a standard?
Another caller? Yes. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. May I know who this is, please?
My name is Daniel.
Daniel.
Yes.
Yes, Daniel. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Kampala.
Yes, please proceed.
Rick is my good friend, my old friend.
Ah.
Yes, I'm just wondering.
It's a compliment.
I've seen several times on TikTok.
Sorry?
On TikTok.
Yes.
Honorable Dongoto has been attacking UBOS for concocting figures.
For concocting figures?
Census figures. That census figures are bloated in some regions. Inflated in some regions. I think UBOS has a mandate to clear this kind of miscommunication if they agree that it's miscommunication. And if they have to, then maybe take legal action, because this kind of propaganda is damaging, especially with the big exercise that is being planned.
Yeah.
What does she say about that?
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thanks a lot. Rachel, I think you... But before you respond, let me first go to Honorable. Honorable.
Yes.
What do you think should ideally be the role of local governments, MPs, opinion leaders? What should they play in a time like this exactly to, rally more people so that they can be counted? We're already seeing an example of a former politician actually going on TikTok and actually coming up with these kinds of allegations.
First of all, that's why I brought it. The issue is how much have we engaged the faith-based organization leaders, because they have a lot of following. If a father, Archbishop Semogere, says, please, all of you go and participate. The next Sunday, all the fathers and catechists will do the same. If Archbishop Kazimba says, Stephen Kazimba says the same, it will follow. If the Mufti says the same, so it is very important that we get that. Equally, I talked about our cultural leaders. Now, the problem with our local governments and some of the politicians, already you hear a question of how much is involved. The other two areas I'm talking about of the faith-based and culture, they don't demand any money. It's just engaging them. Because they already have a network, they have a following, and that's why they are very successful. Now, in 2014, myself, when I was a member of parliament, it was my personal responsibility, not only at national, but particularly on the grassroots, the whole Munyoro and on the ground, to make sure that we mobilize the people. Because this is a very important exercise. It's a national exercise. Citizens have duties and responsibilities. So it is important for every leader to be seen, to be supportive and mobilizing. It's unfortunate others these days would want to ask, as if you're an enumerator, how much am I getting out of this? It does not. It shouldn't be. A leader at every level should just do what he's supposed to do. Whether you're an LOC1, that's why I was emphasizing LOC1, the sub-county level, the councillors, because this exercise is important. As we were saying, what we are getting out of this is that you get to know the poverty levels, the employment and unemployment levels, the kind of housing you're having, the pressure at our schools in terms of where we go, the water services, our health centers. So what is important is to understand the importance of the exercise. If that is understood, then it just follows. Of course, for my Honorable Dongoto, who sometimes goes extreme and on some of these areas, yes, there has been this north-south divide. Some people think that, until recently I heard people saying there are more constituencies in West than in the whole country, but I've heard that has been debunked. Population census can inform the country in terms of budgeting, how much money goes to each region. I don't think you need to alarm the country on the numbers. The census will help us know truly each region. And that's why for me, as an advocate of regional tier government, we have made a mistake not to operationalize Article 178. If regional governments were empowered, even this process would be having results as per region. So let's really follow the Constitution. Let's operationalize Article 178 so that these fears or the regional divides are long gone, and we know West Nile, they have this population, they deserve these social services, they deserve this budget, they require, so that if you have any support in education, in health, in water, in utilities, this goes according to, because these numbers are very important. The population finding, the census findings would actually help Ministry of Finance, all other local governments, the President's Office, National Planning Authority, to understand. Actually, the other area is the area of urbanization. The country is fast becoming urbanized, but also there is a lot of people moving from the rural areas to the urban center. So all this information is very important when it comes to planning. So I would appeal that I have not read the Odongoto
apparently it's on TikTok.
But for me, I would want to urge all leaders, what's their name, to do what is expected, because this is a constitutional obligation. Also, any human being who calls himself a leader wouldn't sabotage a census.
Thank you so much. I mean, you've said it all for me. I know that we will get there. So on the matter of the Wakiso gentleman.
Yes, Geoffrey, they're being trained as enumerators, but they're not being told how much they will get.
Now,
and some of them applied as supervisors, but they were relegated to
enumerators.
Yes.
So usually, or as I've explained when we started, the census operations are informed by what has come from the listing. Now, it so happened that when we planned the listing, Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area was listed last. So we worked by the figures of kind of projecting to see how many enumerators we shall need for that Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area. Now, we concluded the listing exercise just recently, maybe 5 days ago. And as I said when we started, we realized that the population in Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area had bloomed. We need more enumerators. That was our discovery. I have explained clearly how the process of getting an enumerator comes by. If you find that your populace is now bigger, you then know. Remember,
we need more enumerators.
Remember, our recruitment process had then stopped. Okay? So we had to work within our process.
Yes.
So we said, why don't we then make some of these supervisors to be enumerators? Because unlike the old census where you really needed a lot of supervision, here everything is monitored on the dashboards. So we wanted to have more enumerators on ground. That's why that decision was taken, and it's especially in that Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area.
Because of that explosion in the numbers.
Yes, which includes Wakiso, Kampala itself, and Mukono. Now, in the training center, I don't want to call them enumerators must obtain information so that they consent. We don't use it without consenting. They must. But information flows in as the training has been planned by the responsible persons. I don't know what side of Wakiso is, Me, on the side of Wakiso, I'm in the municipality of Chira. Now, Wakiso has been guided into 6 tiers.
But is there a flat rate?
Yes.
That has, I think that is what he wants to know.
That's what I'm going to. The rate for enumerators is well known, and it has been provided even on their appointment letters.
Geoffrey, maybe you need to...
How much is that?
But the appointment letters have not yet come. I think that's why he's worried that he's
so
not
can we just for purposes of clarity, can we just have an idea of how much this is, so that they know? I mean, I think this gentleman is listening and he wants to actually know. Is it so that we don't have issues of, oh, these people got this amount and these other people got this amount?
This figure has been communicated several times by the Census Commissioner.
Is it public knowledge or is this private information?
No, it's not private information.
Can we just have
it? Per day, okay. Let me first explain. During the training,
we are running out of time.
During the training, these enumerators are being facilitated with meals, refreshments, and so forth. So they will be only provided with a transport refund of 100,000 shillings for the 9 days. Yes, for the training.
100 per day or for all? It's a lump sum.
It's a lump sum. Yeah, for the transport which is approximately 10,000-12,000. Yeah, because the training is 9 days and they'll get 100,000 for it. Then
the enumeration
exercise itself has also been given a lump sum. If you take it on a daily basis, it will be an allowance, it will be taxed. Remember, they are also getting it by e-cash, and it will also attract charges or whatever. So you have to be kind to them. The documentation was improved, and then it was agreed that it will be a lump sum. This is subject to adjustment depending on whether you're in Greater Kampala or in other rural areas. Why? The challenges of counting in Greater Kampala are not the same as those in counting in rural areas. However,
in Greater Kampala,
it will not go below 500,000 shillings for the data
for all the days.
Yes, for
that's
the
a
data.
lump sum.
Yes, a lump sum.
So 500,000 less deductions of e-cash payments and transfers and so on.
Those things that what happens? You know, when you put your put your money on, you will not get
the exact 500,000. So it will come down to about 400 something.
But you for us, but for us we shall give you that. You get it. Now, the supervisor therein, it will not go below 600,000. You get it? So it can be adjusted. Maybe that's why the classes are feeling apprehensive about what is coming and they are not.
But I think you need to tell the trainers to actually let this information come out, because now that brings lack of trust.
Yes,
questions.
They're going to tell them. This fee has been communicated many times when the Census Commissioner speaks nationally. So depending on how comfortable the trainer makes the team, they should be able to now already, because we're already in day 5 of that training. They should be already comfortable.
How many more days to go?
Okay,
4.
So there's another last concern. That other caller who talked about the arrogance of some people. So there's a question: will the enumerators have access to military areas, detention centers, like safe houses, where there are concerns that some people, missing persons, especially opposition people, are being held there? How do you access such places and capture their details?
This is the fourth
traditional healers, witch doctors, shrines.
This is the fourth time I'm talking about this. The categories are specialized. We have institutional categories and household categories. Institutional categories include all those places.
Barracks.
There are special arrangements to enumerate those areas. And these people who are asking know very well, within their classes where they are training, they are seeing the policemen, they are also training with them. Why? Because the policemen will count their prisons, their cells, and their safe houses. You get me? So I know that they know that this has been all cared for. Traditional healers' homes, why are they giving that example now? Is because maybe they know that they go there and spend many days there. That's the other short institutional. You get it? That category is possible. So if you're living within the community, I know there is a very serious black sheep there. Well, you might have to visit with the institutional questionnaire. That's why we are giving the enumerator that area that they are well versed with.
Okay. Yes. So let's just conclude. Let me hear from you, Honorable, and then I come to you, and we just call it a wrap.
Yeah. First of all, I want to plead to you citizens that this process is very important for us. It's a planning tool, and also that the process, we pray, will add value and will get value for money. I only missed asking my sister a question about the last manpower survey which we had, because this country for a very long time we seem not to know how much. Actually, the education system does not even provide the manpower we need. When we are talking about unemployment, just last week the President on Labor Day was saying, we may seem to have been understood, but listen to what he was saying, that why people going outside when there are jobs in Uganda, it is lack of leadership and laziness
don't see the jobs
of some people. So with that manpower survey, I had a lot of expectation, but I have not had it being used.
It's coming.
I have not had the outcome of that manpower survey.
It's coming.
The last battle was fight. Is UBOS doing it? Is it NPA?
We did it.
People were fighting to eat the money.
I personally participated
instead
in
of giving us the product.
We did it, but we are now doing the analysis of the data.
So can we have another conversation at some point?
Yes, it's very important, because that manpower survey is very important. And Ministry of Education, all these are the workers, the employers would want to know what is the productivity of a citizen of Uganda. What the education system, is it churning out people who are relevant to what is required to the industrialization? So that debate is very important. So
we need to wrap.
This one census, we expect that it will give us very good information for planning, and we wish the country a very good exercise.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable. Actually, as I conclude, Honorable, the questionnaire has a series of employment questions, about 11 questions regarding employment. So you can imagine we will still have answers to beef up the manpower survey. As I conclude, listeners, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics appeals to all Ugandans to continue to embrace all the census activities up to their completion. Every Ugandan is encouraged to participate positively by giving accurate information. Please, at the time of enumeration, do not lie to us. Do not send away our people. Just welcome in. Okay, so that we will process that data and give you quality data to support planning, policy formation, and decision making at the national and subnational levels. The census is for all, and it matters to be counted.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Rachel. And that's all we had for you today on VPN. Please remember, census is just around the corner. It's very important for you to get counted. Cooperate with UBOS and the enumerators. Provide your particulars, like Rachel says, and we need that data. We need that information. We'll have another conversation going forward regarding what this data will unearth. Thank you very much from me. I'm Judith Atim, and it's a wrap from me for today here on VPN. We'll return next Saturday, same time, different conversation.
VPN, views, people, and news. Only on 933 KFM.